Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. Today is the 14th of July, 2025. This is a very timeless video. I hope it's one that's going to help many people. And it's a subject and a topic that probably affects all of us. I personally believe that we are all addicts to some degree with regards to something, someone, some pattern, some behaviour, some archetypal energy that is within us that we might struggle with, that we don't have a control over. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't be on a journey of recovery and getting ourselves back into balance, but any addict knows that once recovered, there is always a daily, I don't want to use the word battle, I'd like to use the word structure. There is a daily structure that needs to be followed to keep oneself on track so that you don't fall back into old ways. Now, before we go on, and in case you're thinking this doesn't apply to me, I would just like to read out a list of some of the most common addictions, because when we talk about addiction, I think often we think of the big ones, whether it be drug addiction, alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, but there are many more. And some are more subtle, and some also go more under the radar than others. So if I'm going to challenge you and say that we are all addicts to some degree, I'd just like you to pause and reflect on the list that I'm about to read out to you. So we have alcohol addiction, we have drugs, which also includes pharmaceutical drugs, drugs that are prescribed by the doctor, drugs that you might become addicted to, drugs that you might have been on for years and can't get off, or the escalation of a combination of pills served up to try to help you, but which get you into a spiral of dependency. Gambling, as I said, is another form of addiction. Sex addiction, porn addiction, shopping addiction, overconsumption, video games, exercise, which you might not feel is something that you can become addicted to, but you absolutely can be. I have known people who have that in the past, and it's really painful to sometimes see the lengths that they will go to ensure that they have their exercise, not just on a daily basis, but maybe once, twice, 3 times a day. And they turn from being somebody who is free and healthy and in harmony to somebody who is addicted to the pull of whatever it is, the gym or whatever. Also, we see addiction with regards to our relationships. Maybe we're trapped in some type of pattern of always, attracting the bad guys or the bad girls, getting a thrill from that. Maybe we are addicted and bound into some sort of codependent relationship. If not with a partner, it may be with a parent, it may be with a child, a grown-up child, etc. Social media and internet addiction is absolutely very real. I grew up in an era where we didn't have mobile phones, but we now know that everybody has one. Most of us have been into a restaurant where everybody is just looking at their phone rather than talking to each other. When you see that, there is an addiction energy playing out. Work addiction would be another one, but also behavioural and archetypal energies that we might hold, which ultimately are detrimental to us and are stopping us from living our best life. That could be something such as playing the victim or always needing attention. But there are many different forms of behaviours that we can fall into, which are on the surface might seem annoying, but actually underneath it there is an addiction energy. So this video ultimately is going to help you hopefully understand this whole subject a little bit better, give support, as I said. We're going to be bringing in the energies of Kali Ma, a Hindu goddess of liberation and rebirth, Jesus, who I feel needs no introduction, and Archangel Metatron. We're also going to look at some of the archetypal energies in the tarot and what they teach us. But more than anything, I would like to start by telling you why I'm even talking about this today. This whole subject came in terms of this is something that needs talking about. I want you to be raising more awareness on this. And I'm talking Archangel Metatron saying that. It was on the back of the Capricorn Full Moon last week. Now, I did mention on my other social media that I'd had a series of quite disturbing, weird dreams. Dreams along the type that I don't normally get, involving two particular famous people who, when I say their names, we don't need to get into a big slanging match with regards to them. I feel there's teaching with regards to why I was dreaming about these two people. And actually, with both of them, there is a form of addiction at play. I mentioned it, as I say, on Facebook and Instagram, and a number of other people said that they'd had some disturbing dreams around that Capricorn full moon. Now, to understand maybe why that's happening, of course, Capricorn is a brilliant sign. Lots of beautiful people are Capricorns. It's a sign which has got many beautiful qualities associated to it. But it also has this rather unfortunate reputation of being linked into, for example, the Devil card in the tarot. And I actually just looked very briefly at why that is. And this depiction here of the Devil card, okay, and Capricorn, as I say, is always associated with this particular major arcana card in the tarot. It says Capricorn is often associated with the Devil card, primarily due to the shared imagery of the goat. And it talks about the Devil card representing materialism. I mean, that could be another addiction, the accumulation of more and more wealth, money addiction, ambition, and the potential for being trapped by one's own desires, which can resonate with Capricorn's earthly nature and focus on success. So it's almost as though being overly obsessed with, as it says there, material desires, carnal desires, earthly domain energies, actually in many ways aren't just harming ourselves in terms of our body and our life, but are absolutely thwarting our spiritual progress and our self-development. So back to my dreams then and this Capricorn full moon. The first one, on the night of the Capricorn full moon, I dreamt about Bryan Kohberger. Now, Bryan Kohberger is the, I'm not even going to say alleged murderer anymore, because he has come out and said that he did do it. So I'm just going to say the murderer. Although, yes, I know there are grey areas. Go back and watch my Idaho 4 videos if you want to. We're not going to have the discussion here. The point is, I dreamt about Bryan Kohberger. I've never dreamt about Bryan Kohberger before. And what was disturbing about the dream was I felt as though I was in his mind. It was a dream which was more about being shown his mind and the way it works, and the urges that he had or still has. So, of course, I didn't wake up and want to fulfill any of those urges, or, you know, suddenly I'm not about to become a mass murderer or anything. It felt as though it was a dream to just put me into the mindset of somebody who was captured by devil energy, holds devil energy, and more than anything, I just felt the energy of the urge to kill. Now, you might think, from his perspective, not my perspective, it was almost like I was just being shown it, but I felt like I was inside his mind, almost like getting a preview into terms of that archetypal energy. I didn't actually feel that disturbed by the dream. It was interesting. I was obviously very heavily protected, and I'm realising now I was shown that for a reason, to bring about this work. But yeah, it was weird. I've never dreamt of anybody like that before. But I woke up and I realised, hold on, it was Capricorn Full Moon. That whole case, the Idaho 4 case, is surrounded by devil energy, demonic energy, dark energy. Whatever figurehead he is within it, he is in it. So that was the first dream, okay. The second dream, which followed the next night, was of RFK Jr. Now, I'm on record as saying I'm a big RFK Jr. fan, and I still am. And again, I'm not going to get into discussion on the pros and cons of RFK Jr., what he's done, what he's not doing. That's not what the dream was about. I'm just going to refer to my notes because I actually wrote it down. In the dream, he looked really sharp, in terms of sharply dressed man. I mean, it was so detailed in terms of I could see the tailoring of his suit, the crispness of the white shirt that he wore, his persona, which was very magnetic, his hair, which was beautifully cut. It was really, very, very vivid what I was seeing in terms of him. And there was a part of me in the dream which was attracted to him as a man, but there was also this energy coming back from him that he was attracted to me. Now, I'm sure in real life that probably wouldn't be the case anyway, but the point was I could feel that energy coming off him. And then what was really interesting was it was in a work situation, and there was a former boss of mine who was at the back, and he was basically saying to RFK Jr., he was warning him off. He was saying, hands off her, leave her alone, don't try anything on. So it was almost like in this dream, this interaction of attraction was being protected by this other male energy, which was saying, hands off, don't you touch her. Now, he wasn't actually doing anything to me. It was more just the energy, as I say, of, attraction. Now, RFK Jr. is on record, I think I'm right in saying this, but in terms of addiction, linked into like a sex addiction, he has had a number of affairs, etc. I am not a sex addict, I must just say that at the start. So it was more about his energy. But what I've written down here is it felt like it was a dream where he was like a honey trap type energy, where and again, this is just archetypal energy. It's not really even about him. It's about what he's representing here in the dream. It's like a honey trap energy, which could also have been female, if women are your thing, which can pull you in. But you've also then got to ask yourself, well, why am I being attracted in the first place? Over and above maybe a physical attraction. In all seriousness, it's probably linked into a deeper seated need within ourselves, because addiction is always about need, to either feel wanted, to feel complimented. And what is that actually about? That's really about the ego, isn't it? It's the ego that needs its fix of that person finds me attractive, or that person wants me, or that person finds that I'm interesting. But within that dynamic, there is toxicity. And I've titled this video Break the Chains, because whatever the addiction is and however it's presenting in your life, it's about helping you to break the chains so you don't fall back into the pattern, if, for example, you're a sex addict, of doing that again. Or going back to something like Bryan Kohberger, why I felt that was an addiction dream was, I suspect, my intuitive feel is that over and above lots of other reasons in terms of why he did it, most murderers, it's to do with an urge to control, okay? It's an urge to control, it's an urge to dominate, and it's about obsession, because the energy of addiction and obsession very much go hand in hand. I'm actually being shown a card now from a deck of cards that I've got up there, which I'm going to get for you, called Dark Mirror. Hold on. I've just toppled Kuan Yin, which is never a good thing to do. So let's just bring her lovely, peaceful energy into all of this. But let me just show you the card that I'm being shown in my mind's eye. Here we go. Obsession. Yeah, obsession. So addiction, ultimately is about having obsessive thoughts over something. It could be obsessive thoughts over food. You know, I can't say no to food, or I can't say yes to food, because it can work both ways if you have an eating disorder, which is also a form of addictive energy. Or, you know, I'm obsessed with money, I'm obsessed with material wealth, I'm obsessed with acquiring more. I'm obsessed with, if you know, from a gambler's perspective, the thrill of a win, you know, the roll of a dice, etc. Obsession with social media, this thing about just not being able to put the phone down. The sad thing is that most people are having a better relationship with this than they are with maybe the people closest to them in their lives. And that's a societal issue. Things such as digital detoxes are really good. Anyhow, so those were my dreams. That's how I sort of got into this whole subject, because more than anything, I just knew that having those two dreams back to back were bringing to the table, as I say, this whole topic. So, also around that time, I was thinking about all of this. What Metatron said to me is that we underestimate the power and the stranglehold of the shadow. It's interesting as light workers. Often, I mean, you don't necessarily have to use this language, but I think subconsciously we can sometimes see ourselves as sort of this like warrior archetype, which is a good thing. You know, warriors on a battlefield, working for the light, armed up with protection, and it's a very strong, beautiful thing to feel like that. So I'd like you just to imagine you as that, this side of yourself that is strong and capable and going out into the world and taking the world on. Or, as I say, maybe if you are tasked with, I don't know, raising truth or disclosure, you know, it's just a very strong energy, is it not? But that's just one aspect of you, because there's this other person on the battlefield, which is your more shadowy energy. And what Metatron showed me is that they're just as much of a gladiator as this other aspect of you, okay? We always, I think, maybe it's because it's more comfortable, we tend to view this shadowy side of ourselves, linked into, for example, obsession, addiction, all sorts of other things as well, as somehow this pathetic little creature, you know, that we have to pity. Whereas actually what I was shown, and maybe this is also linked into where you are on your journey with addiction, but I was being shown it as very powerful, very strong, because ultimately, why would it have control over you if it wasn't strong and, as I say, this gladiatorial type energy? Now, of course, we know that light wins, okay? So if you're coming to this video and you're needing help, what you need to be appreciating is more that, yeah, this figure on the right will win, with structure, with help, with support, with regular attention and acknowledgement of what needs to be done to keep this enemy, for want of a better word, at bay. Because something that doesn't really serve you, something that is keeping you feeling out of control, ill, tired, lethargic, manic, secretive, is your enemy, is it not? You know? So I actually found that quite helpful, because I just feel that sometimes we need to acknowledge what it is that we're dealing with. And I think particularly if you're in recovery, I mean, say, for example, you're an alcoholic and you have recovered, but you still have to have the structure of maybe going to AA or something like that. There's still the acknowledgement of how big this could get if you let it get out of control again by going back into that old energy and that old pattern. You know, just one little drink becomes one little bottle, which becomes a bigger bottle, etc. And yeah, I do know what I'm talking about, not not because I am an alcoholic, I'm not, but my father has had, well, my father is an alcoholic. I don't think he would be, he wouldn't mind me telling you that, because I personally think it's an extremely inspiring story. He has had problems with alcohol pretty much all his life, came to a head around his late 70s, weirdly, but he's grappled with it. He's overcome it. But he goes to AA every week, and he's an inspiration to all of the people in his group. But I, as his daughter, have witnessed that battle over the years. So this whole thing about, you just got to be very clear about what you're up against, basically. So. Because I think this is the thing, when you're in a denial phase, whether it's alcohol or anything else, you are ignoring the scale of the problem. You are minimizing this here. You're minimizing it, whether it is a growing pile of clothes, whether it is a growing pile of debt, credit card debt, overconsumption, whether it is a growing list of failed relationships because you just keep going back into the same old pattern of somehow, going for something that isn't helping you or making you happy, etc. You have to respect this force that you're up against. But equally, it's like the energy of the two wolves, isn't it? The story of the two wolves, which I will just quickly read to you, and I'm sure many of you know it anyway. It's the old indigenous saying about the two wolves. I think I photographed it. Yeah, I did. Which is that a fight is going on inside me. A boy said, it's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. And he continued, the other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, which wolf will win? The reply came back, the one you feed. And that's the truth of it, isn't it? It's what we feed. Are we feeding the addiction, or are we feeding recovery? So we at this point, I think, are going to bring in the energy of Kali Ma and also the energy of Jesus. Let me just see what else I've got. Actually, I did just want to say a couple more things, actually, linking into tarot. So I've shown you this is like a traditional card from the tarot linking into the devil. Many of you probably know that depiction. This is actually from the after tarot, but this is another one. I've got three depictions I want to show to you because they both show something slightly different. Now this one, what I think is interesting about it is that whole energy of like, come to me, it's quite enticing. It's quite it's quite enticing. It's a bit like the RFK Jr. dream that I had. It's quite enticing. And that's the thing often about addiction, is that it can start off as, it starts small and it grows bigger. So it's like one little drink, it's like one little drink, one more little gamble, one more thing to spend, one more hour on social media, one more hour of playing video games, one more session of exercise, one more cake, one more drug, one more gamble. You get my point. So, and ultimately, I don't know if you can see it on the card, but this devil energy has got this person like a puppet on a string, and which leads me to this card, which is from the Insight Tarot. Great deck. I love the Insight Tarot. And this is really, really telling. And this is going to lead us into something that Kali wants to help us with. Because here we see the devil has got the devil has got all of the strings, okay? These are all the different aspects of you, including maybe the different aspects of your life that might be going awry or out of balance because of your addiction, whether it be not being able to spend quality time with those you love, whether it be not being able to perform your job to the best ability that you have, whether it be neglecting self-care, it probably will be, whether it be neglecting, the planet and your home, I don't know. But that's a powerful card as well. And I also wanted to show this one, which in many ways is a warning, but also the answer. So this is the Strength card from the tarot. And again, this is the Insight Tarot. And you'll see that you've got this lion in the sacral, but I also want to sort of push it up a little bit to the solar plexus, although it's depicting more in the sacral area there. Because addiction generally is about trying to fill a void. So to be able to heal it, you have to at least be acknowledging, why is it, for example, that you're overeating? Why are you over drinking? Why are you over shopping? What is the void, the emptiness within yourself that temporarily is feeling filled by the thing or the person or the behaviour that you are doing to make it go away, even if it's just for a temporary time, yeah? I said it's also the answer because ultimately, the more that we step into sovereignty and our power, reclaim our power over this energy, which just has us like a puppet on a string. It's like it's 5 o'clock, I need to be having my drink, or it's 2 o'clock, I'm going to need to be having my drink, whatever it is. Once we start to be able to reclaim that power, we reclaim our life, yeah? And ultimately, I sort of wanted to put... Hold on. Sorry about that. That was Bella. Right, what I was going to show you was the energy of the Emperor. Okay, so if you think about the devil energy that we've been discussing so far, the devil card in the tarot, being very much about... being out of control, really. Being out of control, sometimes being in free fall, going into that sort of vortex, which ultimately is going to lead to a very dark place of despair. Then the opposite energy to that, is it not, would be the Emperor energy, also the Empress as well. But I've chosen the Emperor here just because the Emperor is about structure and it's about routine and it's about order. And so when we have spiraled down, we need to be re-establishing order. It's interesting, actually, one of the van life channels that I follow, he wrote a little post the other day in answer to somebody that was criticising him for not producing enough videos or not being around, not doing what he said he was going to be doing. Where's the video on this? Where's the video on that? Which shows that person is actually completely addicted, to be honest, because you shouldn't be sort of waiting with bated breath every day for new content. That is an addiction. But the point is that he answered it by saying, he apologised, which he said, I'm sorry, but I've just been getting myself back on track. I needed to get some structure back into my life. I've been going to the gym. I've been cooking myself decent meals, going to bed at a decent time. I just needed to get the order back. And I'm not saying he had an addiction. I don't think he did. But, I really thought that was brilliant guidance that he was actually saying and sharing in that. And it felt very Emperor-like to be sovereign enough and aligned enough to put getting your priorities right as your number one priority. How many times have we seen the priorities card from Archangel Metatron, Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Unless you've got the basics sorted, everything else starts to wobble. The pyramid doesn't grow properly. It's distorted. So we have to be taking care of these these things that are out of alignment in the base chakra and sacral chakra and solar plexus chakra, because ultimately that's where addiction lies. It's particularly in the sacral chakra, but really all of the lower chakras, I think, are involved. Okay, let's now bring in a bit of energy with regards to Kali Ma. And what do I want to say about Kali Ma? So the first thing, I think, is to remember who she is. So the spray that we sell, for example, okay, in fact, let me show you this because it's a better picture, because we've just produced this in candle form as well. I'll show you the candle in a moment, but I want to show you this image. Hopefully you can see that. It shows her basically with her swords, okay, with her swords above her head, and she is going onto the battlefield to slay the demons, yeah? So she's brilliant as both a protector type energy, but also as one who can clear the energy, and she leaves no stone unturned, basically. Now, what I was shown by her is the fact that if you imagine yourself on the battlefield of life, because if you're heavily in an addiction energy, you are finding, or will be finding, life as more of a battlefield than a rosy pasture full of, beautiful flowers. So you're on the battlefield, and rather than seeing it as other people on that battlefield, I mean, there might be other energies and influences that are not helping, but what she's showing me, if maybe just close your eyes for a moment, I'll just spray the spray as well to get myself back into what she showed me, is that what else is on the battlefield are all these other parts of you that are not integrated, that have not effectively come home and been aligned and are harmonized. So, for example, on the battlefield is the desperate you. On the battlefield is the sad you. On the battlefield is the lonely you. On the battlefield is the angry you. On the battlefield is the fearful you. On the battlefield is the empty you, etc. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But if we start to see all of these different parts of ourselves there, ultimately what she's doing is she's putting down the sword and she's coming in as Kali Ma, which is the mothering energy of Kali. And she's wanting to help bring all of these parts of ourselves back to us, yeah? Bringing them to her for healing, but also severing anything that is toxic, which might include external influences or external materials. And she's also showing me, for example, I mean, this isn't going to apply to all of you, but with regards to something like, I don't know, like a drug addiction, it's literally like scattered bottles of pills or syringes or whatever it is, foils, etc. And it's like they are being cleared from the battlefield. With regards to something like a food addiction, whatever your thing is, whether it's greasy chips, whether it's, I don't know, cakes, whether it's crisps, cheese, whatever it is, it's like clearing that. And this is something that is important also in your daily life, which is that if you are trying to recover and heal, you don't surround yourself by the same paraphernalia, whether it be unhealthy foods, processed foods, whether it be the drugs that you're taking, which are doing you harm. You clear the battlefield, you clear your home. And of course, I will just say at this outset, because it's important to say, with regards to something such as if you're heavily addicted to something like drugs or alcohol, you have to take professional support, of course, and wean yourself off. It's dangerous just to go cold turkey, I'm sure, but just take what I'm saying as a analogy with regards to her helping to clear your life also, she's saying, of the people that are in it that are not helping you. I did actually read something the other day somewhere which was talking about people that generally are successful in recovery long term are not surrounding themselves still with their old crowd or unhealthy influences. They're just not. So you can also ask Kali Ma to maybe bring into your life new positive influences and people also. So on the one hand, she's got the sword, which is clearing, but on the other hand, she's also coming through with this very compassionate heart. But I'm just trying to tune into the energy here, because I'm not wanting to say tough. Well, it is like a tough love. It is a tough love, actually, because it's the energy of I'll help you if you want to help yourself. But I'm not going to be mucked around. I'm not going to be fooled around with. You're not going to waste my time. It's that type of energy. If you want me, I'm here. If you want my help, I'm here. But I'm not going to waste my time. But I think also if she's on your radar as an energy to help you, then you are ready, basically, because otherwise she wouldn't be appearing. As I say, her energy is linked into liberation and rebirth. She helps you to pick up the scattered parts of yourself and the scattered parts of your life and the things that have been even ruined or spoilt. So, in the recovery process as well, you can call on her to help with maybe healing fractured relationships, things you might have said in a fit of anger, or because there's a lot of anger with addiction, is what she's saying. There's a lot of anger, and there can be anger when you are in the recovery process as well. There can be any emotion that comes up, but it's as though you have to feel, whatever you've been covering up, whatever the addiction has been covering up, when it's then taken away, the bandage is taken away, it's like you're faced with what it was you were trying to ignore. And that can be hard, but it is doable, she's saying. It is doable. And she's really wanting to help you. And I'm now just being shown like this fiery, it's like a fiery pit. And she's standing in front of it. It feels almost like a volcano, the top of a volcano with the lava all bubbling up. And she's saying, throw into that all of your pain, throw into that all of the trauma. It doesn't mean it never happened. It just means in terms of this, whatever you're feeling, the rage, the pain, the upset, the manifested feelings that you just, almost like you can't bear, because it's that feeling of I can't bear it, which can also be loneliness. And so I reach for whatever it is that's my comfort blanket. She's saying, no, feel it, but then throw it into this fire. And it becomes transmuted, and you feel your body just starting to calm down again and be able to breathe. But you have to feel it to heal it. It's really, really important. But you don't have to do it alone. So very powerful, fiery, passionate energy with her, because she wants to see you whole and well and healed. And she says that, this is an interesting thing to say, it's almost as though she's saying the strongest person in the room is actually the recovered addict. The most inspiring person in the room is the one that's gone through the wars, As I say, I shared my dad's story because it's a teaching moment, but also because I'm so bloody proud of him that he's conquered it. Because there was a point in his life, he's still alive, but in his 70s, where I didn't think he was going to. And there was part of me that was thinking, that's going to be my memory of him as the one who couldn't control it. And then I think it was something that was said to me by another spiritual healer or somebody, I can't remember how this information came to me, or maybe it was a dream I had, I really can't remember. But I was shown my father, and they said he will clean the drain. He will clean the drain. It was talking about the ancestral line. He'll be able to do it. He'll be able to clean the drain. With regards to all of the crud, ancestral crud that had built up, that would even produce this energy of addiction, so that it was clean for future generations to come. or that are here now, me and my children, etc., and their children if they have them. And I didn't know if he was going to be able to do it, but he did do it, and he's been sober now for a few years, and I know he won't go back to it. So it's this thing about, and Jesus says this as well, it's like the person who's reformed, redemption, forgiveness. It's such a powerful lesson for all of us. And you know, I think I've told you this story before, but you might not have seen the video. There was a local fair a few years ago near me. It was a vintage rally actually with music, but for whatever reason there was a AA stand, Alcoholics Anonymous stand, with, you know, just there to offer leaflets or if anybody needed support. And I couldn't help myself. I went up to them in the stand and I told them all about my dad and that he's in his 80s now, and he's he has this chair in his meetings that he sits in, and all the youngsters come to him for guidance. But he also goes there because he needs it himself. It's not just one-way traffic. And they said, thank you so much for sharing that story. It means so much to me. And that's why I am sharing it, even though it's personal, because I think we need to hear the recovery stories. And it doesn't matter how late you recover, it's as long as you do recover. Of course, it's better for you if you can recover sooner rather than later, but the soul's journey is the soul's journey. But you can do it. Okay, right. Kali Ma. So just to say, she's brilliant. I just love the Kali Ma energy. Very ballsy. Yes, we do sell an aura spray linked into her energy. There's a channeled message on my website. But also, as of last week, I am going to show this as well because it's beautiful. We've got this new candle that has been created for us. It's the Kali Ma candle of liberation and rebirth. It's got red jasper in it as a crystal. I can't show it to you because it's burning, but it smells absolutely beautiful. All essential oils, no synthetic fragrances, soy wax, cotton wick, and that again just feels symbolic. And actually, that's the first time I've lit this candle. So for me and my recovery journey, because we're all on a recovery journey with regards to something that's out of balance in our life and that we don't have control over, that's gonna help me to just remember I've lit the candle today. I've done this video with you. I've shared some of my story and my father's story. But you know, whatever your story is, light a candle for yourself. Doesn't have to be that candle, just a little tea light, whatever it is. But also light the candle within yourself, light the flame within yourself of hope, recovery, can-do attitude. That's the thing with the Kali Ma energy. It's can-do rather than I can't. Because I tell you what, the devil energy will always say to you, you can't. You can't. It's easier to stay with me, because even though I'm the devil energy making you feel ill, whatever, it's what you know, and it's your life now. But no, you can climb your way out of this with support, with help, with community, with love, with strength, with resilience, etc. Okay. Right, I'm going to end this video with some energy from Jesus. So we'll do that in a moment. But actually, let me just pull a card from this deck. This is the Sacred Woundings deck by Ashley Kester at The Reckoning Co. And I just want to see what comes out of this deck. It's just a little deck. So by its nature, it's about wounding. Let's just see what comes up for us as we're talking. It says the wound of the hyper-aware mind. I've had that card before when I've used this deck. I can't remember in what context it was. It's interesting because I'll show you the card in a moment. I just need to read the words on it as well. It feels like it's an energy linked into fear. It's somebody who's scanning every room for danger, even in peace. This wound forms when your nervous system is wired for threat, not trust. You read tone, body language and silence like warning signs, always preparing, never settling. It can leave you exhausted, disconnected from the present and unsure how to feel safe when nothing is actually wrong. Now, what this is bringing to mind for me is another addiction, which is never being able to settle. You know, maybe you've seen that in people you know, maybe you are like it yourself. It's almost like it's like this restless energy, this hyper-aware energy. Now, you can, of course, just be a bit of a Romany and you love to travel. There's nothing wrong with that, the whole van life thing. I'm not saying that's an addiction, but it's almost the energy of either grass is always greener, so I have to keep on moving. I can never be settled. I'm addicted to, put it this way, how I want to explain this is Metatron is showing me the oak tree, or any tree, big tree that's been planted. And the point about it is that the legacy and the beauty that it holds has come about from sticking around, basically, you know, in a particular place or for a particular purpose. Don't know, there's something about this wound that's coming up linked into the energy of the thrill seeker or the adventure seeker. It's like there's never being content. It's almost like also the Simon Cowell type energy of with linked into money, never having enough money, because the point is, or somebody like Jeff Bezos, never having enough, never being happy or content where you are, always having to be doing the next thing, the next round of making money, or not being content to just be, I don't want to use the word settle, just it's the opposite of being at peace, isn't it? It's the opposite of being at peace, because addiction is about not being at peace. If we were really at peace, we wouldn't be addicted. But healing the addiction is about coming back into a state of peace. Yeah. I'm going to go to the Jesus deck now. Right. So I feel it's talking to me more linked into this particular subject. So let me just spray the energy of Christ light. Jesus has been a guide for my life since I was born. Not new. One of you sent me a 15-page letter telling me about the second coming that you think is coming. Thank you for that if you're watching me, but really you said I'm not trying to convert you, but you sort of were, okay? As though I've never heard of Jesus before, he's never been in my life before. You see, that's this fundamentalism type energy of having to convert, of having, you know, we see that in our world now, don't we? That's a type of addiction, is it not? Because it's an addiction to just one particular narrative, that this is the answer. It isn't just about fundamental Christians either. I'm not saying that person was, but it's led me into this topic. Fundamentalism is an addiction. It's not being open-minded, not being able to see anything other than the tunnel vision that you're in. And what is underneath that? The energy of fear. It's the opposite of Christ consciousness. So, with regards to the Christ consciousness energy, these are the cards that I've picked out of my own deck that I wanted to discuss with you. Number one, no, actually not number one. The first one that came out wasn't the Devil card. That was second. The first card that came out, which I thought was brilliant, was Judas. This is the card of betrayal. It says catalyst and soul contract, but actually it's the card of betrayal in the deck. Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus for the bag of silver. So in relation to addiction, where are you betraying yourself? Where are you betraying yourself? Also, it has to be said that linked into soul contract, has your soul come in to experience the journey from addiction to recovery? You know, there's a lot of judgment often around addiction, that you're this dirty little addict. Oh, it's not my words, but it's like society can be a bit like that. Whereas actually, if we can start to see it from a soul contract perspective, I know this is triggering for a lot of people to probably hear. I do think there is a soul contract sometimes at play, because the truth, what I believe, is that our soul wishes to experience everything there is to experience with regards to being human. And I've said this before in other videos. So the drug addled state is one. But ultimately, yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. Something else I was going to say about soul contract. Oh, obviously also the thing about addiction is it's in many ways severing your connection with the highest timeline that you can be on. Although if your highest timeline is to experience what it is to be an addict, then yeah, I know we're getting into the whole rabbit hole area, aren't we? But for now, let me just keep it simple for this video. Judas Iscariot is turning up, I think, just fundamentally to say, where are you betraying yourself? What are you getting out of this situation? Because ultimately, his bag of silver coins didn't satisfy him, okay? It wasn't enough. So, on one hand, addiction being a betrayal of your higher self. Then we have the card of the Devil card in the Christ Consciousness deck, and it is about breaking the chains. You can see that he's not looking up. He can't see that there's a key sat right beside him to help him. He's just focused on where he's at. He can't see the help that's there. And then the other cards that came out really are, we've got the card of purity, return to innocence, Jesus, follow my lead, and freedom, just be you. Something here linked into who are you really, and the addict who doesn't want to be the addict anymore. It's not really the real them that you're seeing. It's not. Actually, it's sometimes only when they have recovered that you realise that some of the behaviours over the years and the things that have been said or done, that was the drugs talking or the alcohol talking or whatever the other, addiction was that was talking. So yeah, we've got the card of purity, return to innocence, purity, and Jesus here saying, follow my lead. And then we have the energy of freedom. So there is freedom absolutely possible here. So let's now just tune into the Jesus energy. I'm hearing that passage from the New Testament, which is something along the lines of, come to me all who are, let me just get it up, hold on. Come to me, all who are weary. Yeah, Matthew 11, verse 28. Come to me, all who are weary and heavily burdened, and I will give you rest. That's what I'm hearing. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And it's really beautiful because what I'm being shown is that, a bit like with Carly, where she was removing the paraphernalia, the people, the disturbed energy from the field of the one that's wanting to recover, here I'm being shown all the paraphernalia laid out at Jesus's feet. And let's use some non-drug references now. So let's talk about something like a shopping addiction, okay? So it could be a pile of gold watches. It could be a pile of handbags. It could be a pile of shoes, which you might not think is much, but then there are people in our world who don't even have any shoes, So it's all about balance, isn't it? As I say, addiction is when it's out of control. But ultimately, it's something that you're laying at Jesus's feet that you're ashamed about. It can also be, with regards to something like food, people that are overeating, what you would eat in a week, which you don't let on to anybody else that you do because you're eating in secret or you're drinking in secret. And all the empty bottles of wine or whatever that you've drunk, or all the cartons of fast food or greasy chips or whatever it is that you've eaten piled up in front of Jesus. And there's a part of you that's feeling ashamed by that, but he isn't looking at you with eyes of shame, with eyes of judgment. He's just looking at you with eyes of love. And again, it's very similar to Kali. It's just like he's just walking through the debris, because he doesn't see the debris, he sees you. I'll repeat that. He doesn't see the debris. He doesn't see the addiction. He sees you. He sees you whole and recovered and healthy if you choose to follow his lead. And no, I'm not meaning by that you've suddenly got to become a Christian. I just mean by going in, taking his hand is what I'm saying. Taking his hand. Look at the card. Take my hand. Take my hand to freedom. Take my hand to a purer state of being. Because you can't be in the presence of Jesus without feeling that energy of purity, without feeling that energy of love, without feeling that energy of peace. And it transforms everything. Yeah. I also wanted to show you this card from the Christ Consciousness deck. This is Pilgrim Steps. And it's just a reminder that to get you from here to here, this is the answer. You've just got to keep taking the steps. And some of the steps, as in this card, are going to be uneven. And if you're not careful, can trip you up. Yeah? So you've just got to keep being diligent, is the word I'm hearing. Diligent. With regards to your path to recovery. Knowing that the path is ever onward. Yes? And you take the part of yourself that was the wounded addict with you, with compassion and non-judgment, and you learn from what it is that you were to what you've become. You learn the lessons of that experience of feeling disempowered, out of control, out of alignment, weakened, lowered, unhappy, hiding away, to a place where you're feeling stronger, more aligned, more at peace, more together, coping. And it's a daily practice. It's a daily routine. Finding the routines that are going to help you. Finding the people and places that are going to help you. And yeah, places feels important. A spot or a place that you go to, that you walk to, that you travel to. Ideally physically, because it gets you out in nature, but it could also be in your mind, that you travel there in your mind. In meditation, we often have like a safe spot, a secret spot that we go to. For me, it's a walled garden. That's my place, my refuge. But equally, I like a physical walled garden as well. But whatever it is, find a place, find a safe place, find a safe person, find a guide that's going to help you. We've had 3 that have come forward today in this session. Archangel Metatron, who is not judging you. Kali Ma, who is not judging you, but is there when you're ready to work, because it's very much a working energy. Let's get to work. Let's do this. Let's tackle this. Let's take this on. Yeah? Let's conquer this. It's very much a warrior type energy. And also the energy of Jesus, which is just come to me, feel my grace, feel my purity, feel my peace. And the more that you're in the presence of that, the less you want to be in the presence of this other energy, which is lower and more devilish in nature. So I think that's probably where I wanted to go to with this video. I will just end with one more card from the Christ Consciousness deck, but I'd like to wish you all well, and I'd like to remind you that you can conquer whatever you need to conquer, and that there is a Oh yes, I know how I wanted to end. There is this other version of you waiting to be discovered. Okay, so we've got the energy of the open door and we've got the energy of the heart. So let's end with a little visualization with regards to the new you versus the old you. Okay. So firstly, I feel like I want to use the Kali spray again. Okay, liberation and rebirth. More than anything, Kali Ma is asking us just to be present with the version of ourself that is operating right now, with our wounding, with our flaws, with the feelings we have, whatever they may be, which we are struggling with, which we want to run away from, which we don't want to acknowledge, which we want to drown out, which we want to ignore. And she's just saying, stand over here with me and let us feel this together. Let us feel it. And she's giving me, she's showing me the energy of a rose, but it's interesting that the rooting of this rose is not secure. It can be pulled out, plucked out of the ground very easily. Because remember, whatever you're doing that's an addiction or is out of balance is giving you something, or you wouldn't be doing it, certainly in the initial stages anyway. So there is a fragrance to it. There is something that brings a bit of joy or light-hearted relief, even if it's very temporary. As I say, in the latter stages it becomes less so, but certainly in the early stages. But it's not really rooted as deeply as you think it is, even if it's been going on a long time, yeah? So we can take this old rooting system out of the body and we cast it into the volcano's pit. Okay, so we're now seeing ourselves on the battlefield, and there is this other being coming into view. And they look like you, but they have more light. They are more aligned. They are more balanced. They are more healthy. They are happier. They are stronger. Take a look into this version of you's eyes, yourself, this other version. Look into your eyes, this other version of you, and see how well they look. And Kali says, step into her or him. Step into this new version of you and feel how strong that rooting feels. Now, some of you might want to step out of this version of you, but I suspect most of you will want to stay in it, because the longer you're in it, the more that you become it. Day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, you become this new version of you. And feel how much stronger and taller you feel, how much more together you feel, and how the old crutches are no longer needed. You have new activities, new behaviours, new routines, new people, new beliefs that are helping you to commit to this, to be this, to belong to this. This is who you can be. This is who you are. Root that into your being. I am that. I am that. I am that. I am clean. I am healthy. I am sober. I am well. I am balanced. I am free. I have broken the chains. The chains are no longer even around my feet. They are gone. And then see Kali with you, proud of you. She has your back. Feel the energy of Jesus. He loves you, no matter what. Feel the energy of Archangel Metatron, lighting up a path in front of you. Take the hand of all of them and venture on. Well done. Your bravery, your courage, your determination has saved you from yourself. You can do this, and you will continue to do this. Well done. Okay. If your eyes were closed, open them. We're at the end of the video. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, winds of change coming in my room, if you can hear that, the wind outside. If you did, give it a like, share it to anybody else that you feel would be in benefit of hearing its guidance. And shuffle the deck. We've still got the open door on the bottom. The open door, Christ within you, but it's also the rainbow. And it's the mountain, that you are able to climb the mountain. What feels insurmountable right now, you can do it with the love and the support of all of these higher beings and your higher self. Thanks very much. Take great care. Bye-bye for now. Bye.